We go. Oh, you can try. Good evening and welcome to the Waipahū Neighborhood Board. As customary for our neighborhood board, anyone wishing to speak is asked to raise their hand and when recognized by the chair, to address comments to the chair. Speakers are encouraged to keep their comments under 3 minutes, and those giving reports are urged to keep their reports under 3 minutes as well. Please silence all your electrical devices or electronic devices at this time. As I've called the meeting to order, it's customary for our board to do the introduction. I would like to start with board members to my right.
Good evening, Maureen Andrade at large.
Good evening, Richard Oshiro at large.
Aloha and good evening, Nathan Chang, Subdistrict 3.
Good evening, Jayden Chang, Subdistrict 3. Good evening again and welcome, Darryl Mancha at large.
Good evening, Terry Tumbaga, Subdistrict 3.
Good evening, Debbie Siegel at large.
Maurice Borita at large.
Dave Beers, Subdistrict 2.
Aloha and good evening. Danny DeGracia at large.
Thank you, board members. The members of our audience, please, we have a sign-in located on the table as you entered. First on our agenda, we have the Honolulu Fire Department, which they just got called out, so we'll come back to them. Honolulu Police Department. Thank you.
Lieutenant Glenn Iwasaki, District 3, Pro City. I think they planned that last month too, yeah. You know, I go on call too now. Okay, I'll start off with the reported incidents. This is a comparison December 2024 to January 2025. Motor vehicle thefts was 6, went up to 11. Burglaries was 5, went up to 7. Thefts was 43 December and went down to 29. And car break-ins was 10, went down to 9 in January 2025. Total calls for service in this area was 2,402 calls, and it went down to 2,228 calls. And total calls for service in District 3, 6,069 calls, and went down to 5,191 calls January 2025. A safety tip of the month is just always be mindful of your surroundings and keep your valuables out of sight. And yeah, that's all I have as far as for the presentation. I did attend the Alio Manu neighborhood board meeting, which was strictly a fireworks meeting. So they had people from the mayor's office, the governor's office, as well as HPD and fire. And I know there's 25, what's it called? 25 bills that they're looking at to pass. So I guess they're vetting them and filtering it, make sure all the language and everything is, you know, up to date and stuff before they put it into. And it goes through the, of course, city council and everything before it gets approved. But I know there's 25 to 30 bills for fireworks that's coming up. So if it does get passed and stuff, we'll get word of it, and then I'll keep the neighborhood board up to date on that as well.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Do you have any questions for HPD from the board?
Question.
Go ahead. Board Member
Sir, um, an abandoned car means they cannot park on the street for more than 24 hours?
Correct.
Can you have somebody check on Mokola Street, right in front of the Waipahū United Church of Christ? There's about 4 cars that hasn't been moved. And if they look at the safety checks and the registration, it's all past it, like 2023, 24. So the residents there, they cannot park, because the cars have been there for ages.
Okay, yeah, I can take care of that tonight. If the safety and tax is expired, then we can tow it right away. We don't
Okay.
have to wait for the abandoned vehicle as well.
Okay.
That's one of the criteria that your car can be towed now. So yeah, but we will mark them as well.
Yeah, I
abandoned,
figured
but-
that you should mark them and check, make sure they're there.
Yeah. We'll do. Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
take care of this right after
Thank
we
you.
finish this meeting.
Any more questions? Board Member Tumbaga?
Yes, I have a question. One of a resident brought to my attention, but didn't want to come, kind of afraid for retaliation. I guess the neighbor is shooting BB guns in a densely populated area of course, the person who's shooting is shooting in their private, property. But however, some of the pellets are, going certain areas, and they tried calling HPD, somehow not getting any response or anything. What can the resident do, and what is the law in terms of shooting BB guns in private property in a densely area? Thank you.
No, there is airgun violation laws in place. And also, even if you're in your private yard, but if the bullets are straying out to, and endangering other people around, and it could be reckless endangering as well. So, if that's happening, then please call us. They can call us and be anonymous too. And at least we can advise those people that's doing it, if it's kids or whatever, to stop, and educate them on the safety of using those air guns. Yeah. But yeah, definitely if it's straying outside, then yeah, please do call us. If you wanna give me the address or location later, then we can have officers go and talk to them as well and educate them. Yeah. Hopefully they'll take it, the education, and they'll stop or shoot in a safer manner, I guess.
Thank you. Any board members? Board Member Andrade?
Hi. There is a Spectrum truck with it. I think it's like the cherry picker. And he's parked on the corner of Ka'aka and Kapuna Loop. And he's gotten tickets before, and he's ignored us asking. His neighbors have asked. There's been near misses. You cannot see coming out or coming in. And that truck is huge. In front of that truck is his big white truck. So if that truck isn't there, he'll park his big white truck at the corner, trying to reserve. And we've asked him nicely, and we know that he got ticket probably twice, but he continues to park it at that corner, and it's really obvious. And if you're going roundabout someplace tonight, you'll see it there, because I just came from. I live up the street.
Okay. I'll take care of that tonight as well. We have a good officer out there, Officer Termati, and he takes pride in the Kunia area. So
Yeah.
that's the officer that he also cites for fireworks.
Yes,
He's
we've
really good
seen him,
about it.
and he's actually telling him. I said thank you. It's gotten a lot quieter.
Mhm.
There's another. There's a truck that's covered. I think you folks approached him too before. He was parked across the park and ride, but now he can't drive it. There's no way he's driving this truck. So I don't know how he got the truck to move. But now he's further into Upper Kapuna Loop, right before the gulch, and it's covered with a car cover. But he's leaving his trash. I think he's now living in the gulch, but his truck is there. The people across the street they're the ones that are complaining, because they have their personal cars parked across the street too.
Okay, yeah, I'll make sure.
The truck
I'll let
is
him-
blue underneath that, and he has that truck. I think Councilmember Matt Wire's office did see the truck. They've gone there. But there's no way he could be sleeping or sitting in the truck because it's full to the rim.
Oh, okay, okay. And he's living in the gulch.
I think so because there's no way, I don't know where else he's living, but he's dumping all his trash on the sidewalk and
Oh,
people are
okay.
afraid of walking that way. And you got the townhouses right there.
Okay.
Thank
I'll,
you.
yeah, I'll actually refer this to the community policing team because Kelly Makanani, he does a
Mhm.
really good job. He's back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so-
awesome. We also reported one to Kelly. There's a van there.
Mhm.
I took pictures and sent it to Kelly from McGuire's office.
Okay, okay.
That van is totally gutted. This today when I was coming home, there's a man and a woman, and they've got trash and food and rubbish. And our landscaper had called me to see if he was supposed to clean it up, and I said no.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
don't approach and don't touch. So, but it's a mess.
Okay, I'm gonna see Officer Makanani tomorrow, so I'll let him know, and then they actually go out and try to do
Yeah,
know,
I think Kelly already reported it also, but I'm
Okay,
just
okay.
letting you know because it's been there
okay,
for over a week.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure that's taken care of.
Thank you.
You.
Just quick adding to that. So the police have jurisdiction to lift up the cover if it is being covered? Because I driving around the neighborhood, not even, I mean, all over, I see that, and it seems like the car just doesn't move for months.
Oh yeah, we're allowed to check it for to check the license plate, make sure it's not stolen and someone's covering it. Yeah,
Got it.
so, yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any questions from our members in the audience for Honolulu Police Department? Go ahead. You want to approach the, how about you use one of the mics right here? That would be cool. Introduce yourself as well.
Hello, I'm Tom. Just moved here to Waipahū, Waikele, so wanted to introduce myself here. But for HPD, in regards to the bike path along Pearl Harbor, I think it's amazing what the community has been doing, trying to clean it up, along with the city and county and with the Navy. Been doing a lot of good work down there, but the problem of homelessness is coming back, and before, we used to have cadets running up and down that bike path, and that was a really great deterrent for that kind of activities down there. And I was hoping we could bring something like that back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure. When I was in recruit class, we ran that as well, all the way to Blaisdell Park. But yeah, I'm not sure if I know at one time they said they can't leave the campus now, because of liability and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not sure if they still run that. But yeah, again, Officer Makanani, once he came back, they're doing a super good job with working with the military and the state. And, it's half-half, that's why, yeah. Yeah, but they're doing a really good job, and I think they're doing construction too behind Best Buy too now. So, yeah, that should deter a lot. And they're doing a lot of outreach for the homeless. So once Makanani, he's been back for like a month, but it really changed. He changed his view of how community policing is working, and yeah, they're doing a really good job. So they offer outreach and services to the homeless, and then they're trying to relocate them. So if they're willing to, yeah, relocate them to off the bike path or off the streets and stuff like that. So yeah, so it should start getting a lot better because he is doing a lot. So from Palisades, yeah. Yeah. All right, all right. So won't see you at the Pro City meetings anymore. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Thank you. Any further questions for Honolulu Police Department? He might not be here, so done. Oh, last one.
Hi, sir. So if the homeless people are not willing to move, what are the options for them?
Yeah, unfortunately, like a lot of them have warrants too. Some of them have warrants. Some of them they're illegally, occupying that wherever they're sleeping at. So unfortunately, so we offer the services stuff, and if they're not open to it, then next thing is more like in the enforcement side. Yeah, so they balance it. You know what I mean? Just because you not willing to take our services and stuff doesn't mean you get arrested. But if they do have outstanding warrants or, so we're trying to work with them to really relocate them and help them, But if they are breaking the law as well, then we have to do our enforcement as well. So it's like a balance, that we're doing right now.
Right. Go ahead. You want to push the mic and introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Pailingutua Kusara Poamo. I am here on behalf of the Kealaho West Oahu. Because we're in the homeless topic, I do want to add on that since last week, we've been working with the Joint Pearl Harbor Base Hickam Security, and we've been doing warnings to the homeless from the Pike Path all the way to the shorelines. We've been, and it was a shocking, it's a lot of them. I'm an outreach for the Kealo West Oahu, and we've been working with the homeless here at the plantation. But it was last week and this week, and actually next week. So just to give a heads up, on March 8th, there will be an SBO with sweep, like a full on sweep. And I believe that the HPD will be involved, the ICE, our homeless outreach folks, as well as the Joint Base Military. So I just wanted to, because we're on that topic right now, just to bring that up, that we are currently working with the Joint Base Military. But that's just for that side. But we're continuing on working with the homeless in the area itself. Our challenge is when we provide service, a lot of them refuses our service, but we do have shelters that are available for them. But a lot of time they don't want to abide with the rules and stuff. So, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for the update. And thank you, Lieutenant. I think you spent enough time up on the podium.
Thanks. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Next on our agenda is the military report, the U.S. Army 599th Transportation Brigade.
Aloha and good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Colonel John Regnary with the 599th Transportation Brigade, the Plans and Exercises Officer. It's a pleasure to be here and deliver tonight's military report from U.S. Army Hawaii. April Job Fair. U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii will hold its next hiring fair on April 22nd at Ala Moana Military Reservation Gym from 8:30 to 2. This is open to the public. Advanced applicants may go to www.himwr.com to learn of openings and how to apply online. Walk-ins are welcome and should bring 2 references, proof of ID, social security card, and resume or application. Training advisory. U.S. Army Garrison publishes a monthly training advisory. Details for remaining this month is as follows. Through February 28th, there will be day and night live fire on Schofield Barracks for artillery and more live fire training. An updated report will be published no later than March 1st. Receive the report when it is published at the start of each month. Request a copy via email at usag.hawaii.comrel@army.mil. National Vietnam Veterans Day Parade. The National Vietnam Veterans Day Parade will take place on Saturday, March 29th to pay tribute to those who served our nation for the cause of freedom and liberty. The opening ceremony will be beginning at 4:30 at Fort DeRussy, and parade will begin at 6 p.m. along King Kalakaua Avenue in Waikiki. Marching bands, veterans groups, military units, as well as many community groups from Hawaii and the mainland will take part in this parade. To all who served in Vietnam, we thank you for your service and sacrifice. And any questions you may have, this concludes my report. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from our board? Any questions? Board Member
Sorry.
DeGracia?
One more time, could you give the details for the Vietnam Veterans Day information? Sorry.
Sure. It will take place on Saturday, March 29th. Opening ceremonies will begin at 4:30 at Fort DeRussy, and parade will begin at 6 p.m. along Kalakaua Avenue, Waikiki.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions from our board? Water members in the audience? Thank you. Thank you for your part. Okay, moving on in our agenda, board business. First item on our business is the election of a board officer, specifically the chair. Currently, I'm serving as your chair pro tem. Do I have a board member?
Motion to keep Daryl Macha as chair.
It's been moved and seconded, and I as well accept the nomination and the motion. We can have further discussion. Do I hear any discussion? Should I call for the vote? All in favor, say aye. Any oppose? Any abstain? I guess motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and I appreciate the support. Next item, we have board vacancies. Do I have any members in the audience? We have 5 at-large seats that are available. Residents interested in filling the seats must provide, evidence that you live in our district. Caveat is your term, or the term that you would fill would be only for the remainder of this cycle, which ends in June. Do I have anyone interested in fulfilling any of our vacancies at this time? Hearing none, thank you. We'll ask again in our next meeting. 3 absence letter, member Maurice Morita. I understand it was discussed last meeting and provided his explanation. Do I hear a motion to vacate his seat? Do I hear a motion to vacate his seat? Hearing none, member Morita, you're still on the board. Thank you for your service. Oh. Next item on the agenda was the approval of minutes for our Thursday, November 21, 2024 meeting, as well as our Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 meeting. Members, I hope you had a chance to review. Do I hear any motion to accept the meeting as circulated? It's been moved, seconded. Any corrections to the meeting minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor to accept the meeting minutes for Thursday, November 21st, 2024, and Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, say aye. Any oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. The approval of the minutes. And then finally, board members, it's brought to my attention that in April, the Mayor Blangiardi, will be holding his town hall. And unfortunately, due to scheduling conflict, the town halls fall on the Thursday of the last Thursday of the month for March and April, which would encompass, let me take that back. The town hall meeting that would encompass our community, which is Waipahū, falls with Milani Mauka, and Wahiwa on Thursday, April 24th. That is the meeting date. And it's been proposed that, we would like for everyone possible in our community, as well as our board members, to attend. The location is in Milani. So it's been proposed that we have the option to recess our meeting so our community can also attend Mayor Blangiardi's town hall meeting, which we can forego our board meeting. So Do I hear a motion to recess in April so we can allow our members as well as our community to attend the town hall? Let's move for the motion first and then we can discuss. Member DeGracia? It's been moved, seconded, okay. Member Andrade, question?
My question was just that why isn't he coming here to Waipahū? They kind of bypassed us for some reason.
Yeah, good question. I think according to the schedule, they sort of grouped communities together. So the third town hall is going to be Milani, Mauka, Wahiwa, and Waipahū. That's when our community is lumped together with the other communities. So that's on April 24th, Thursday, 7 p.m., Milani High School. There are options for other communities that our members and community can attend, but they all fall on the fourth Thursday of each month that we meet. According to our board secretary, Richard, I'm just kidding. But so any further discussion? Member DeGracia?
I would just like to mention that I think that this is a very important idea that we have this, not just because of the opportunity to connect with the mayor, but I would certainly encourage both our congressional delegation and the governor to attend this, because I can foresee that there's a lot of questions that people in our community that depend on federal assistance may have questions about. And I think this is an ideal opportunity to answer that.
Thank you. Do I hear any other discussion from our board? Member Tumaga?
I just have a question. Where in Mililani High School? It is a very big high school. I mean, but you know, what building is in the auditorium?
Most likely auditorium or cafeteria. I know when last time they came to our neighborhood or our community, it was in Waipahū, I forget what elementary, but it was in the cafeteria. It was well attended. It is an opportunity for our community to attend. He brings out all the department heads, and you have the opportunity to interact with them. So it is a worthwhile event, especially for our board members, and I encourage our community, especially those who just moved into our community. So any further discussion before I call for the vote? So let me repeat the motion. The motion is to recess our April meeting so that we can attend the town hall, the mayor's town hall, on April 24th, Thursday, 7 p.m., Milani High School. That is the motion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, motion carries. We'll be recessing our Waipahū Neighborhood Board on Thursday, April 24th. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the resident and community concerns. Do I have any members of our audience, members of our community have a community concern? Please approach the podium and introduce yourself.
Good evening, board. My name is Tony Chance. I'm CEO of HOH 808. We're a nonprofit. We just started a new program. We've been around for a while, but we just started a new program to turn 44 acres of Waipahū and Ewa land into a agricultural farm plots. And we just started our 8-acre Lo'i behind Waipahū Intermediate. We've already had our second work day there. And we are in the process of clearing that as we speak. We're students from Waipahū Intermediate are well involved. The FFA are they're working very hard to clear that out. A lot of mud, a lot of water. And also, one of the things I've heard about the homeless that living along the bike path there, which is right near the Lo'i. Our organization's also looking at out of the box thinking. My day job is social worker with the homeless at the VA. So we have our outreach out there, and I do outreach as well out in those communities. We're looking at building possible tiny homes, not the ones that the state builds. These are the ones going to be based on Auntie Twinkle's legacy, what she built at the Waianae Boat Harbor, where Juliana wakes up Mana, and the homeless would be offered to help steward the land and also work to feed, healthy food choices in those areas as well. We're going full steam ahead, so it's going to take a community to get this done. All hands on deck. So please, if you have any ideas or any ways to help our funding date get frozen with the federal funding. So we're all volunteer right now, but still, Mike Rompel with Domino's Pizzas delivers and free pizzas for us. So if nothing else, we give everyone pizza. So please, it's third Saturday of the month behind the Lo'i. Behind Waipahū Intermediate from 8 to noon. Bring clothes you can get dirty. Thank you.
Is there any way we can find out more information in a form of website or?
Yes, thank you. HOH808.org.
Any questions from our board members? What are members in the audience? Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other resident concerns, community concerns? Go ahead, sir.
Aloha. My name's Dan Kidder McEwen, and I'm the new pastor at Waipahū United Church of Christ, right down the street here. I'm just happy to meet you all and happy to see this. I am interested in helping with cleanup. So if there is somebody interested in pointing me in the right directions, I've done this before in other communities, so I know I'd like to see the land in the neighborhoods. So I would, if you, after this, somebody can point me in the right directions and the right people to work with on that, if that is appropriate for a volunteer to help coordinate.
Thank you, Pastor. Yes, we do have elected officials also in our audience and their representatives. They may reach out to you as well, but welcome to the neighborhood, and we're glad that you are here. So thank you. Any other resident or community concerns? Hearing none, we have a presentation tonight from the Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corp, or commonly known as HHFDC. And I believe that's Mr. Gordon Pang.
Hi, good evening, Chair, board members. I'm Gordon Pang, the Housing Information Officer for HHFDC. And I thought I'd bring somebody who is a lot more important and smarter than me, David Oy, who's our
That guy will be coming first.
housing finance manager. He will lead this presentation, and we will be happy to take questions afterward.
Well, thank you, Gordon. That smarter guy is a little late in coming, so I'll just stand in here and I'll do the rest of the presentation for you. So I'm David Oy. I am the Housing Finance Manager for HHFDC. Just a little about me. I am very new to government. I've only been working in the private sector for about 20 years. I've been with the corporation and the state for about 2.5 years in this role. So for me, it's always nice to be able to talk about what I do and what this corporation tries to do for the community. So a little bit about HHFDC. So we are an attached organization to the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, so DBED, as you may hear us referred to. We're 65 employees. We have 5 what we call functional branches. In addition to our executive director, we have our development branch. Our development branch, what they do is they try to get lands and sites ready to develop affordable housing projects, whether they be for sale or rental. They have the finance branch, which I oversee. So we administer most of the state programs for funding affordable housing. Those include the state-funded projects and state-funded programs, as well as the federal tax credit programs, federal bonds, and any federal grant programs that we receive, as well as the state for housing. Our planning branch, they are the ones who administer a lot of our leases. So we do have properties that we are the lessors for and that we manage. They also participate in planning communities for future development. And our fiscal management branch is our accountants. So they're the ones who keep all our books in line and everything and keep us, make sure we're fiscally sound and we're using our money responsibly and we're collecting everything as we should. So what is HHFDC's mission now? This is our new mission statement. So if any of you have kept up with HHFDC in the past, we used to have this really long mission statement. And I think just last year we revised it to this. And this is about a year's worth of work, I think, to come up with this one sentence, but I think it really captures what we do. And our mission is to advance housing opportunities for the residents of Hawaii. The reason it took so long is because we wanted to really state our mission, obviously in a shorter method, but also really state that we're here for residents of Hawaii. We're here for communities, we're here for residents, and we build for Kama'aina. So our role in affordable housing is really in terms of the financing and development programs. So these are all the programs that we use to provide money or to provide tax credits to fund affordable housing. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details on these, but I will say that the first one, the low income housing tax credit, is a tax credit program that we administer that is a federal government program. The one that I think is very impactful and that's been in the news and that really is impactful for you folks is the one we call the Rental Housing Revolving Fund. So that is a legislatively funded program that is funded to develop rental housing, affordable rental housing. So that fund is what is used to subsidize the construction targeted at the lowest area median income group. So the neediest people, 30% AMI and above to up to 60% AMI. And the dwelling unit revolving fund is more of a general fund that we use to fund things like infrastructure, which would be things like improving sewer systems, electrical, roadways, getting the hookups to these projects, getting the land ready. And we don't just do rentals. We also do home ownership programs. That's one of our bigger focuses this year is what we can do for affordable home ownership. So this year we're going to be restarting what is known as our Hulame mortgage program. So we're going to be restarting that, which is low-cost mortgages for eligible borrowers and down payment assistance. Now, the down payment assistance is something that I'm really passionate about because most families that we find in Hawaii and the ones that unfortunately that we lose to the mainland a lot are the families that can afford to pay a mortgage every month because they pay rent every month, but they just can't save up this large amount that's in front of them for a down payment. So that's really the part of this program that I'm excited for, that I really want to get going and I think will make a difference for a lot of residents. We do most of our work through public and private partnerships. We don't fund and develop projects exclusively. We'll provide the financing and the planning, but we'll partner with experienced developers to actually build and manage the projects. So we collaborate not only with developers, but also counties, City and County of Honolulu, all the other islands, as well as nonprofits, specifically housing nonprofits whose mission is specifically to provide long-term affordable housing for residents. So one of the things I learned when I came to HHFDC is that, we're part of a huge spectrum of housing. And there's different departments in the state that address different areas of residents. So the unsheltered, the homeless, or the emergency and transitional communities, that mainly falls under the purview of the Department of Human Services and also the Hawaii Public Housing Authority. So their mission is to provide housing solutions, both temporary and permanent, for those populations less than 50% of what's called the area median income. HHFDC, DHHL, as well as HCDA. We handle the group from affordable rentals and for sale from 60% AMI up to the home ownership, which we believe is right around 140% AMI. But I'll be the first one to say that the majority of the people that we want to work with and we try our best to address because we feel they've been underserved recently is in that workforce, that missing middle group. That's where most people in Hawaii struggle, and those most of the people that are moving away right now and leaving Hawaii. So basically, who are we talking about when we talk about AMIs? You know, we're not talking numbers. We're talking people, and we're talking people with different occupations. So I know I printed it real large on this screen, so if you can see it, but you know, we have copies of these slides. We can hand them out if you need. So this is generally what we're looking at when we talk about families. See, the AMI ranges are not just for your income. It's based on family size, 1 all the way up to 6 people. And the ranges are different. So you can see at the top where we try to capture a lot of the workers. And you can see we all know somebody in one of these groups, you know, whether it be ourselves, our family, people that live with us, we all know somebody who falls into this group. So these are the people that we really try to address. So right now, one of our missions, you know, we're always going to have the mission to assist the neediest people from 60% AMI and below. But we also want to assist, you know, our first responders, our educators, you know, our medical workers, because what we're finding now is a lot of our mission to help, you know, instill services along with affordable housing. You can build that housing and say you're going to have the services, but you need these professionals to provide the services for people, and they need someplace to live too. So that's really how we're broadening our scope and trying to make ourselves more diversified in the housing we provide. So this is just an example of what the area median income is. Area median income is determined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, so HUD. Every year they do a calculation for different counties on the area median income. So what I'm showing here is the percentage of AMIs for a family of 4 in the city and county of Honolulu. Now, city and county of Honolulu encompasses the whole island. So this is what is used to determine affordability for a family of 4. So what this says is that the median, 100% median income, so half the people supposedly earn more than this as a family of 4 and half earn below that, is $111,000 for 100%. So traditionally in our legacy projects serve 30 to 60% AMI households. And this is updated every year by HUD. Hopefully it will continue to be updated. We're not sure what the future of that is going to be. But yeah, so this is updated every year. And then HUD also has a formula, really complicated formula that I've never been able to figure out, that adjusts for the cost of living, the increased cost of living in Hawaii, et cetera. So some examples of our projects. This is a big one. So I talked about our development project. So this is the Iwilei Infrastructure Master Plan. Now, again, I'm not just a worker for HHFDC, I'm also a resident of Honolulu. So this is a lot of the work that you're seeing going on down in Dillingham Boulevard area. You know, I try not to drive there as much as possible, but there's a lot of coordinated infrastructure for electrical, for sewer, for water, in order to build more density, which is going to help with the bigger master plan to redevelop that area, not just with affordable housing, but also the public housing that's down there as well, to expand the service to residents over there. But really, something is posted for you folks, the Waipahū Tower. This was one of our older projects from 2018 that we funded. So this has 60 years of affordability, meaning that for 60 years, the rents have to stay at 60% area median income and below. Also, this is an elderly project. Now, the elderly projects, I think, the ones that have been developed that I've seen have worked traditionally, but I think, and this is just my opinion and where I'm trying to take the department, I think that kupuna housing has to evolve a little bit to include more services, more thoughts of services included, parking, facilities, things like that. So this was one of the legacy ones that was done in 2001. This one had 35 years of affordability at 60% AMI. Okay, and this is one of our newer ones. Jack Hall's been there for a while, but this was recently what we call rehabilitated. So an owner came in, they bought the property, they rehabilitated it. They did a lot of capital repairs, improvements, added 45 more years of affordability to keep the rents low. And also basically all 144 units are at 60% area median income and below. And also that, like I said, extended it for another 45 years. So the affordability continues and stays locked in. So our role in that was to provide about $30 million in financing to help rehabilitate this project. So Kokuahale was one of our more recent projects. Now this project is downtown. This is Kupuna Housing, 222 units. This project was a high rise. If you want some, like I like to use landmarks. So if you know where the old Hawaiian Tel building is downtown, it's right on the back of that. This one we provided a $36 million loan from that rental housing revolving fund, and we granted $33 million in tax credits from the federal and state. So how do we pick these projects? So we pick them in a lot of ways that we feel are relevant and important to the community. You know, we try to focus on affordability commitment periods. So most of our projects, they have to stay affordable, meaning that it's got to be at that rental level for at least 60 years. Now, that means in 60 years, it has to be re-upped or something has to be redone. But we feel that that long-term affordability allows somebody else to come in at some point and rehabilitate the project. Different levels, we try to incentivize building at the lowest area median income. So that's the 30%, the 40%, because that's where the greatest need is. We found that there's 30% AMI tenants who have to live in 60% units because there's nothing else available for them. And that's where that rental housing revolving fund comes in, because we charge low interest on the funds that are used to build those units. And what that does is that when the project is placed in service, that the debt can be paid back to the state, because we don't have a high debt surface, meaning that you don't have to pay back a huge market rate to the state that was used to help build your project. The financing ratio, basically, it's just, we want to build the most amount of units for the least amount of state resources, not least in terms of quality, but just least in terms of, you know, what's coming out of our pockets to build these. And then we also look for how ready the project is. So once we award the money, we want these projects to be financially closed and breaking ground within a year. You know, we also wanted to see if you're getting subsidies like Section 8, any sort of county support. The city and county does provide affordable housing fund monies that they use on projects that we coordinate with them with. And developer experience. We want experienced developers. I mean, these LIHTC projects and affordable housing is different than building a market project. So while we want to have as many players in the game as we can, we do look for experience and success with projects when we award new projects. So what are our goals? Our goals are to continue the development of affordable rental housing. We want to increase that missing middle that I was mentioning, that middle group that doesn't qualify for this subsidized housing, but we want to build affordable housing for that group as well. We want to develop programs for what's called permanent supportive housing. That's specific housing that also has wraparound social services. So it focuses on populations such as the IDD population, intellectual and developmentally challenged population. It also can focus on kupuna, who we have a lot of kupuna who I think are a very silent population that need housing, because a lot of them, they become empty nesters and they have these big houses and they can't take care of it. They need someplace to move to, but there's no place affordable for them to go, you know? So we're trying to focus on building programs like that. And then, like I said, new programs for low cost mortgages and down payment assistance for those people who are able to purchase. So our 5-year unit projection plan, going out to 2008, we hope to build a mixture of about 9,700 more units in Hawaii with the resources that we have available. We would like to, of course, build more. My dream would be to put myself out of a job. You know, if I didn't have to build affordable housing and I didn't have a job anymore, I think I've done something pretty good. But, you know, we're limited by the resources we get from the federal government as well as the state. But that's our goal, and we try to accomplish that as quickly as possible. And I'm here to answer any questions anybody may have.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any questions from our board members? Member Cheryl?
I think you're probably expecting this question, so let's see what you got to say. One of your slides showed the Kokua Hale project, right? And I've been asking that to Shabani from the state, the governor's office representative about that. Is 222 the total number of units there?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. We've been seeing television commercials that have been running almost the whole year, this past year. Back in June, I think they were 64% that still needed to be rented out. Today, I don't know what the ads were saying, that a few units left, but those ads have been running. When I asked that question, this is back in November.
Mhm.
Last time I asked the same question, they were still running.
Mhm.
So if the state has put in, according to your slide, almost $70 million in terms of loans for that project, I mean, if they cannot rent those out, what's the prospects for the other projects that you may be developing in the future that are affordable rentals?
No, thank you for the question. And I know this has been on the public's mind, not just in this community, but in others as well, and I appreciate being able to speak about this publicly. So the way we financed this, we did put in that $36 million loan, and the way the tax credits work, the 33 million, that's basically tax credits that the government says can be sold by developers to raise equity. So, as far as the taxpayer money that we put into this, it's that 36 million right there, which is not chump change. Now, just some facts about Kokua Hale. Yes, they're taking a lot longer than a typical project will to lease up. They should have been leased up last year, but due to, issues that they are having with the project for lease up, they are currently at 80%, but they have told us, and they are being mandated by their investors and lenders to be fully leased up by the end of the year. So right now they're at 80. They should be leased up by the end of the year. Now, as far as how does this impact us? So where's your money going? Your money's being loaned out. So our incentive to see this project succeed is depending, like any lender would. We want to see the money get paid back so we can rent it out, so we can loan that out to other projects to be built. But more than that, from where I sit, and my concern as the finance manager is this project has to succeed, not just for that reason, but because there's already people living in there and you can't displace them. So that's really our incentive to keep this project going. Now, as far as who's monitoring this and who's pushing to get this project to succeed, the number one group is the tax credit investors. They're really the owners of the project. Now, what happens with those tax credits is until the project goes through what's called conversion, which means it moves from temporary financing and construction. After it leases up, they convert it to permanent financing. That's when these investors can start collecting their tax credits. In basic terms, it just means at that point is the only time they can get any return on investment from this project. So if this project fails or it doesn't lease up quick enough, then they're going to want their money back, and the developer is personally liable to make them whole for that 33.7 million that was put into the project. In addition to that, the interest rate, I don't know if anybody here has ever built a house with a construction loan, but the construction loan interest is a lot higher than permanent loan. So the developer right now is carrying all that interest and paying for it out of pocket, just like the developer and probably the tax credit investors are paying for all these commercials that you're seeing. They're having to subsidize the discounted rent, the move-in costs. I think they're giving away gift cards now or something if you move in. But, they're really the ones who are on the hook to make this project work. And our main concern is displacement. Now, if I carry that forward to some other things that I mentioned in the presentation, experience, developer experience. We've had success with this developer in the past. This is really the first project that they've had this sort of challenge with. And I think this is another reason why I say that kupuna housing needs to be augmented and it needs to do better. I'll just state some facts about the project. Units are small. There's very little parking. The age requirement is 55 and older for kupuna housing. And I will say that I will qualify to live in that building pretty soon, and you're not taking my car away, you know? So, I mean, it's doing thing, and even if you don't drive, you need parking to have your family come visit you, or you need caseworkers to come visit you. So I think for us, there's a lot of lessons learned in terms of this project and what we look for in the future. But there is a tremendous amount of accountability, and we have a tremendous amount of stake in the project, both financially and socially, to make sure it succeeds.
Thank you. Any further questions from our board? I don't have a question.
A follow-up.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Only because I have that concern
Mhm.
is that, Kokohale, I don't know, you haven't explained what problems they have. But that same developer that developed that project, they got approval from the state and the city to develop 530 units in Waipahū, just down the street here.
Yep.
And I'm sure they got some financing from HFBC. So hopefully they don't run into the same kind of problems that they're running into with this particular project. And that project, the project here is, twice as large as this one.
So, and that's the Keawalau project. And they have not received any financing from us yet. They have applied for financing, but we as yet have not awarded them. They have not met our criteria for financing. So they have to keep working on their project. The approvals that they received from the city are the 201H approvals. So that's what gave their exemptions from certain fees because they're affordable. It gave exemptions to density, which is just a fancy word for making it bigger. It's 3 phases at the Times site and the part in back. So the part where Times is, the parcel in the back of that is phase 1. That would be the first one that would get funded if it were to be funded. But we do share your concerns because they have a lot of other projects going on too. And that is one thing that we are looking at very carefully is the capacity. And that I can honestly say is one of the reasons why they did not get funded this year is because they propose a lot of projects. They put a lot of projects through entitlement, but we want to make sure that they can deliver and that the project they're designing are not only financially feasible, but also, that they can get the work done without having any problems. So I do share your concerns, and the state shares your concerns too with their capacity and with the most recent experience, because that's been called out by a lot of other people as well.
Thank you. Again, I didn't have a question, but more of a comment is I agree with you that, we should be building more affordable rentals for our seniors. But, I earlier in your presentation, you made a comment that a lot of the workforce are missing middle that leaves our island. They're looking to purchase. I don't know if they're looking to rent more so. So I hope you can find more projects available for that workforce.
Yes, no, and thank you for the question, Chair. I think, what we do is part of that continuum of housing where we want to, there's families who are really just getting established or families that are growing. You went from 1 child to 2 to 3, but you're still you still need a place to live. So while you are living, our goal is to build rental projects. We're not to live forever if you're just renting. We want you, if you're 80% AMI, you can rent in that unit. You can not be spending 90% of your paycheck on housing. You're spending less on housing, so you can start putting away money, to save up, use some of our other assistance to get into the home. So I agree with you completely, but and we do want to offer solutions, not just to get that group into homes they can purchase, but also give them the tools to get up to that point as well. So, we really appreciate, the acknowledging that for us, because that's really what we want to do, and I think it's just really important because to see what families are spending now on housing is just, it's terrible. So
thank you. Board member Jitin Chang.
Just a couple of questions really quick. You talked about if this project was to fail.
Mhm.
So if this project does fail, that would mean that the loan that we gave them would go into default.
it would go into default, so we would have to collect it back from the developer,
And-
but the developer has personal guarantees on the loan, plus there's insurance for us to get back. So the state would get reimbursed. But again, kind of goes back to what I was saying about what's the stability of the project. And what will have to happen is if that were to happen, and I'm just saying that as worst case scenario, we've never had a LIHTC project fail in Hawaii ever. So I'm just speaking in correct. Everything is a yet. And I'm not being, I'm just a very conservative person by nature. So, if that were to happen, the state would have to probably step in and buy the project, but we're confident. I'm very confident. I can say to you folks now, I'm confident that project will lease up by the end of the year when they're supposed to, if not sooner. And what we do in the meantime is we make sure that they're not solving their problem with any more state money. I have already told the project, like I mentioned, the extra interest cost and the extra carrying cost they're using right now, that's not coming out of the state. I told them personally, this is your problem, so I can assure you we do that with state funds.
Then the next part of my question might be more for Corey, but I'll ask it now and gives you time to think about it. Taxpayer money goes into these kind of things. We're building affordable rentals because people can't afford to buy a home. How do we spin this and sell this to the public and the rest of our constituency that we can allow Kaka'ako to be developed with luxury condos, and we can use up our available land to build luxury projects like the new one that's coming up in Eva, but we cannot use our resources to build affordable housing for our families? We would rather have buildings in Kaka'ako that are mostly empty, and I'm a banker and a lender by trade, and so I did a lot of those mortgages, and I know that they're not local and they're not paying into the tax coffers here, but our residents are having to dig deep to build this kind of housing so that people can have a luxury condo vacation rental. How do we explain that to the people who vote everybody into office? And how do you justify that?
No, I appreciate that question because, we do a couple things, and I'm going to try to answer this without, and I agree with you completely. A lot of it has to deal with the available land that we get to build on. A lot of the land where the luxury condos are built are privately owned, and they don't use any state assistance. So they come in, they find outside investors, and they can build those without having any sort of state subsidy or assistance because the high prices and the high rent or the high rents that they can collect at market levels can pay them back without any assistance. So we don't contribute to any of the luxury projects in Honolulu or anywhere on the islands. Now, the issue is really available land. So if the state can get land that we can develop on, that's ready to develop, that doesn't need extensive infrastructure work, then we will do so, and we will spend our money on those. And we try to invest only in the, and so when we get brought projects to develop, or we go and seek out land that we can develop on, it's all affordable. We don't, but we're competing a lot of times with these market developers, because if we buy land, we can only pay up to a certain amount by state law. Whereas a rich developer can come in, and I'll say that rich developer can come in and pay twice as much for it and build their luxury condo. So we compete with that a lot of times. And we're doing our best to do that, but nothing that HHFBC does or that the state does funds luxury housing. And I think too, one of the issues is a lot of the housing need in Hawaii, and this is just my personal opinion, I think it's been saturated over the years and diluted, because when they talk about how much development, how much need there is in Hawaii, I think they might be counting these developments that locals aren't going to live in. So I think the need is even greater. And that's why I like to do what I do now, because I think the need is understated. So yeah, hope I answered part of your question.
I think we also want to point out that the last minute we took out 2 slides that do involve for time considerations that involve affordable housing condos in Kaka'ako. So we're doing our best there as well with the properties that do need assistance and and can afford to, or can help us put up some affordable housing. So,
And I think what the city does really well is when I talk about the city approvals like the 201H, they require an affordable component a lot of times if people want to come in for waivers or exceptions. So I think, that's part of what could be done, but somebody who can just come in and build 100% luxury doesn't even need to come to the municipality except to get building permits. So.
All right. Last question from our board. Go ahead, Member Andrade.
Just one quick question.
Yes.
This high rise that Kabemea schools, they're planning to build here.
Mhm.
There are a lot of concerns.
Yes.
And, we attended a meeting that they had in here.
Mhm.
And they brought some union people in. And some of these union people don't even live in Waipahū.
Mhm.
But the bottom line was this: they never did actually do their due diligence. And basically, a lot of us feel like it's just being thrown into Waipahū. 20 stories, now 19 on the front side, and the senior side is now 18. It's going to be above the rail. And they cannot tell me, a lot of us, that there's no noise. Because I can sit at Highway Inn during the daytime and we can hear it. And I just hope that you folks really think about the situation in Waipahū. You
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. I mean, that does bring up another thing that I failed to mention. We do, when we're awarding these projects, we do have a criteria for community support. So we look for letters from county representatives, also from.
A lot of the businesses here, Tanioka's,
Mhm.
Dr. Fujisaki, all these other doctors in the area, we're not happy.
And I think one of the requirements too is that I think we can do better on that because we ask the project when we're vetting them, have you presented this to the neighborhood board and what was the feedback? Sorry. Yeah.
Well, we just hope it's not a check the box and it's done. That's what we hope not. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we want it. I don't think we hear enough directly from the community. So I think we can do better at possibly reaching out, to these areas and finding out. The thing about that, the land is Kamehameha Schools owns it right now. And so when the developer comes to us, they have an agreement to purchase the land already. So, and they're just asking us to help finance them. So we feel that the best use of the land, if the project is feasible, would be for affordable housing. Not, just not talking about the scale right now, but just the best use of the project. What we don't want to see is something else, luxury, something overpriced or something that really doesn't fit in with the community. But I agree with you that, that's something I think we will definitely strive to improve on.
Real quick, they've never said what the affordable dollar amount.
So right now, based on this year, if you're a family of 4 in a 2-bedroom unit, the maximum rent that can be charged is $1,700, I think. And that's total. So if the rent includes utilities and everything, that's all inclusive of all that. So that's what the rent would look like for the 2-bedroom. Yeah, you can always check on our website because we always have that info available. But I think they should be forthcoming with that. And I think that in the future, we don't have any applicants in this district this year for financing. But in the future, if developers bring you projects, ask them, how much is this going to, whether it's for sale or for rent, how much are you looking at, And if they say, oh, well, we don't know because it's 2 years from now, well, what's it going to be now? What would it be now? I would ask them that question. And especially if it's for sale, they know how much they're going to charge for the unit. Yeah.
All right. We spent a lot of time. Thank you so much for your presentation. We ask that if you have any more new updates, reach out to our board. We love for you to come back and present I know certainly I learned a lot. I know our council member, specifically Council Member Matt Wire, had some down payment assistance bills go through the council. So hopefully those pass and help with affordable housing and mainly our constituents who would like to own, right? But I understand your point where they should rent, keep it in their AMI level so that they can save in order to own.
Yeah, and I do want to mention that I talk with Councilmember Wire often now, and he's working very hard with us to coordinate all these programs to make sure that they're onboarded correctly. You know, I work with Senator Aquino too. I talk with him. He's very supportive. He's very open. So I feel very appreciative that I was invited here to be a part of this. So thank you folks very much.
Thank you. You might hear from us again. So we
Yeah,
appreciate you.
just look me up on the website, David Oy, contact us. My number's right there. Call me, you know, and we can talk story. Absolutely.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is the website? dbed.com/HHFDC.
That's why I say just visit the website.
Okay.
Just go like that. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Next on our agenda is our elected officials and their representatives. Do I have Director Roger Babcock or Mayor Langiardi?
Good evening, Chair Macha and board members. Congratulations, Chair.
Thank you.
On being elected Chair. Roger Babcock, Department of Environmental Services, which is wastewater and solid waste. There are a few copies here of the mayor's highlights newsletter, which covers things that basically happened in January. So I won't go over those things. One thing I did want to mention about the town halls, it was mentioned earlier that there will be 7 town halls this year. There were 11 last year and 11 the year before. Directors have to attend all of them. So I'm glad that you have recessed your meeting because I would have had to been at that meeting and not your meeting. But we look forward to those. I did want to just mention, though, that there was a question about maybe talking about federal things, but that won't be on the agenda. It will only be things that would be questions to the city that the mayor or departments could answer. Would be the only questions that he'll take. There were a couple of follow-up items from previous meetings. So there was a question that was to Department of Transportation Services. So it was about Member Tambaga commended the city for providing a shuttle directly to the Eddie Aikau surf contest. However, Member Tambaga noted that it was difficult going back to Wahiawa Transit Center because there were no shuttle buses going back to the transit center. And she stated that she had walked 5.5 miles from Waimea Bay to Haleiwa, where other spectators hitchhiked back to Haleiwa. She suggested the city to provide a shuttle. If you provide a shuttle to the event, they have a shuttle going back as well. So DTS response was the bus scheduled 60 shuttle service between Haleiwa and Waimea Bay was provided between approximately 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. However, the closure of Cam Highway during the day, which was implemented by the Honolulu Police Department and necessitated due to the safety issues presented by the abundance of spectators, affected the frequency and on-time performance of the Route 60 shuttle. DTS and OTS, Waipahū Transportation Service, closely monitored the passenger loads at the Waimea Bay bus stops throughout the event and post-event. So I guess they're going to try and do better next time. There was one other issue which also was for DTS, and this was about a request had been put in about 1.5 years ago regarding speeding and running the red lights at the intersection of Waipahū Street and Paiva Street. There are a lot of kapunas and keikis that utilize the crosswalks. She's called DTS many times. And she's wondering if there was a change in staffing because she has been, they have seemed to have lost track of her requests. So DTS response was that they didn't have any records of recent community concerns at that intersection. However, DTS is going to conduct an investigation which will include a review of the area's traffic collision history and a site inspection, and inform the board of their findings by the end of May of this year. So they are going to do a study at that intersection and see if something else is warranted than what's there now. And so that is good news. Let's see, I wanted to, there's a couple of things I can mention that are related to my department. So the one thing that's going on right now is at the end of Waipahū Depot Road is the convenience center and the old incinerator. And the incinerator has been closed for more than 35 years. So acting very quickly, the city is now going to demolish the incinerator. And the work is starting very soon, if it hasn't started already. So there's a contractor on site will be taking down all the old structures, which it's a large building. It's tall. You can see it from almost anywhere driving by. And so that will be torn down as well as the ramps and everything. And then the property is going to be repurposed. We're going to build a new convenience center to replace the old one. That will be much bigger and more modern and easier to use, and have much more space for cars to line up. And it will be the same model as our new convenience center that's in Kapolei, which allows, it's not a horseshoe design. So it's not kind of like one car at a time. There's 2 rows of, so people are offloading on 2 sides at once, and it's much more efficient. So we're looking forward to doing that. It will take a few years for that to actually be built, but it is on the way. I wanted to mention, because we've talked about it before, is the landfill. So the history of that is we have Waimanalo Gulch Sanitary Landfill out above Ko'olina, and it needs to close. We did identify a site. We identified a 3-step process for how we get a new landfill. And we identified a site northwest of Wahiawa in Dole Pineapple Field, currently Dole Pineapple Fields. So I just want to mention that where that's at right now is that there are multiple bills in the legislature that are still alive that would prohibit that site and other sites throughout central Oahu over potable water or on agricultural land. And so that will proceed through in the next few months. In addition, some members of the Ledge are going to the congressional delegation to approach the federal government. The Navy specifically has lands which affect this board, which is the Waipio Peninsula, to try to see whether that they can change the mind of the Navy, perhaps, to make that land available, because it does meet all the other legal restrictions. I have no idea where that's going to go, but the Navy has already told the city no. So that's sort of the progress there. I've also spoken here about sewer fee increases and what's been proposed by the department for a 10-year rate increase package. That is still a work in progress. It has not been approved by City Council at this point. The next committee hearing is this coming Tuesday, the Budget Committee. And I believe that's at 9 a.m., but you can look it up. And they always take public testimony at all City Council meetings and city committee meetings. But just so you know, I've been to 26 neighborhood boards and made presentations about the sewer fees. There's 7 remaining that will be done this month. We've also held 8 town hall meetings, and we have 3 more to go. The last 3, there's 3 more. March 11th is Nuuanu, March 13th is Salt Lake, and March 20th is Wahiawa. And we do put out press releases. The dates and locations and times of all those are already available. So if you want to know more about that, you can attend one of those meetings. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you,
if you have
Director.
them.
Board Member Tumbaga?
Yes, sir. Thank you for following up on those two issues that I have raised. However, the street intersection is not Pa'iwa. It is Waipahū Street and Mokoloa, right here on this corner where the traffic light is, where everyone's speeding up and down, going to Waikele, and people coming down, trying to catch the light so they can catch the freeway going on to Farrington Highway. So it's actually right here. That is the one that is, I
That's the
had
one.
raised.
Okay, that's the one you're concerned about? Okay, I'll
Yes.
be sure to let DPS know.
Pa'iwa one is also an issue, but that does not have a traffic light. So
Right.
this is the one with the traffic light. People are passing right to the red light.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I have any more questions from our board to Director Member Oshiro?
Director Babcock, it looks like you're being closed in on two sides by the city council, according to Matt Byers' newsletter tonight, saying he's committed to stopping any current proposed landfill siting above the aquifer. And there are bills at the legislature that will do the same thing. So if that happens, if they continue with that position, both at the city council and at the state level, I mean, what are you telling them if they do that? I mean, what options do you have left if you cannot build where you have already looked at? So are there any other places that could be a possible landfill site that's not over the aquifer? I think you may have answered this before, but I think we need to be reminded as to what you said.
Yeah, thank you. So the only sites that were available were military lands outside the no pass zone, not over an aquifer, not on ag land, and not next to an airport, tsunami inundation zone, within a half mile of residence and all that. Is the military land out here, Waipio Peninsula qualifies, Lu'ulu'ulei lands qualify, and that's it. The only and so that's why we approached the military as a kind of a first step on that process. The plan A was to identify the site in central Oahu. Plan B is to go back to the legislature and ask them to amend Act 73, which has the buffer between houses and landfills. It's currently a half mile. That was a law that was passed in 2020. And if it was reduced to a quarter mile, then some properties on the Kailua side become available. And one of those is the quarry, the HD&C quarry, that's on both sides of H3 as you go into Kailua. The south side becomes available if you reduce the buffer. So that is a possibility. The legislature did not put any bill this session to do that. And they have declined, to do that. So that's Plan B. Plan C is if there are no other locations, then the city would be forced to stay at the Waimanalo Gulch landfill and expand it. So those are the three steps that we've outlined. So I think it answers your question. Basically, if no other choice, then we have to stay where we are and expand that facility. Notably, there actually is a bill in consideration this session, which instead of reducing the buffer of Act 73, increases it to a mile, which eliminates all sites everywhere in the island, including expansion of Waimanalo Gulch landfill. And that is why the bill was put there, to be able to eliminate that. So then you have to go to Plan D, which we haven't described, but Plan D is shipping all waste off island, having no landfill.
Sure. Last question for Director. Go ahead. Board Member.
Yes, I'm following up with, I guess, Member Oshiro's I remember back in a while that Councilman Matt Wire had presented for the Waipio Peninsula as not a viable area for landfill because it was considered near a tsunami zone area. So why is it that now we're going back to, the Navy if that one of the criteria was not to consider tsunami area
Yeah, thank you for that.
or the soccer field?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So there is an area of the peninsula which is not in the tsunami inundation zone, and that is enough area to build a landfill.
Thank you. I'm sure if we have any more questions, we can reach out to the director. Moving on our agenda is Councilmember Matt Wire's representative, Kelly.
Aloha Chair and members of the board. Kelly Anaya from Councilmember Matt Wire's office. Just a couple things I wanted to highlight. Councilmember was super honored to join the Kale'opuu Elementary School for the World Read Aloud Day. He had a great time sharing with the students the joy of reading. Councilmember also wanted to let the residents know that as we approach the fiscal year 2026 budget season, we are closely monitoring the potential federal funding changes and are working closely with the city administration to ensure budget resiliency. Referring to our newsletter, we do have a couple of statistics regarding some of the Waipahū concerns that we received from the community. You can kind of just check that out here. And then also on the second page, we have some events that Councilmember did participate in, events in the community. And for legislative updates, Bill 15 would provide financial relief for local families by creating a cesspool conversion grant program. This would use climate resiliency funds, and it would help households that make or have an income of under $100,000. They could qualify up to $50,000 to help convert their cesspools. This measure passed at first reading yesterday, actually. Bill 16 would require the refuse division to schedule an additional refuse collection at least once a week in the week following Christmas and the week following New Year's. This measure also passed yesterday's full council. Bill 18 would restrict single-use plastic bottle sales in vending machines that are located on city facilities. And this measure passed second reading at yesterday's meeting as well. Also, as referenced, Councilmember's Resolution 25003, which would reaffirm the existing City Council policy that solid waste landfills should not be located above our drinking waters, passed unanimously at January's City Council meeting. And Councilmember also wanted to highlight said bills that were referenced earlier, House Bill 969, which would seek to prohibit the construction, modification, and expansion of landfills near or above aquifers, as well as Senate Bill 438, which would prevent any landfills from being sited over aquifers or prime ag land. Not really an update from last meeting, but I just wanted to let the board and the residents know that we did receive concerns about speeding on Kunia Road, but I believe that's an ongoing issue. So we are working with HPD to see if we can get additional monitoring of the area. And that's all of my report. If anyone has any questions for Councilmember, I can take them out.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions, Board Member Shiro?
Quick question. Can you find out and report maybe next time what preferred alternatives does the council member and others on the council have with the other alternatives that Director Babcock mentioned tonight, where we would go to, try to change the law to open up Kailua quarry, or to reduce the buffer, so we could go to, other places, Pamanalo, for example, or to consider shipping the trash out. I mean, if we, if that goes through and the legislature goes through with their ban, there are very many good options. So, I think they got to start looking at what options do they prefer, because there are no other options that we've heard. So it's like what Director Babcock mentioned. So you got to start looking at that. They can't just say, don't do it over the act. So it's like, what alternative would they prefer? And let us know what that might be. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Any more questions from our board? No questions. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
Do I have a representative from Council Member Valakumoto's office? Hi. Thank you.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Julianne Pualani Smith Kauhane, and I'm legislative aide for Councilmember Okimoto's office. Thank you congratulations to our chair for being elected. And I just wanted to say today is a day before the last day of Mahina Olelo Hawaiiman. I just wanted to say that even with tomorrow being the last day of Mahina Olelo Hawaii, we can always continue our progress in learning Olelo Hawaii. That represents our islands. And we have also some links and some websites that you can look at on our first page of Councilmember Okimoto's newsletter. The announcements that I have tonight is that the council held a public hearing on Mayor Blangiardi's appointments and reappointments to the directors and the departments, and even the managing director this month at full council. The bills that the council was considering and resolutions is Resolution 25-4. Councilman Okimoto introduced this resolution to ask the city auditor to conduct a performance audit of the Fire Plans Review Revolving Fund. Bill 19, 2024, FD1, CD2 relating to housing, establishing resident preferences in the city's housing programs. Resolution 25-25, requesting the city administration to submit an updated 2025 local hazard mitigation plan to the city council. And Bill 8, 2025 relating to animal nuisances, amending and modifying provisions in Chapter 12, Article 2 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021 relating to animal nuisances. There are some website and links that I wanted to provide for everyone here tonight. You guys do have the newsletter. We also have the newsletter website. If you guys get it electronically, you can go to Councilmember Okimoto's website. And then the last date that we need to know about real property tax, the link is the realproperty.honolulu.gov. The most important date is June 30th, which is coming up, which is the end of the tax year. If you wanted to visit the Honolulu City County meetings, including committees or full council, please look at www.honolulucitycouncil.org/meetings. If you wanted to submit testimony to any of the things that is going to be discussed in committee or in full council, I'd recommend to go to hnldoc.ehawaii.gov/hnl.testimony. And all of this is all on our city and county website as well. If you see anything that you wanted to have concerns about, like new bike lanes, you want to probably subscribe to Complete Streets. They have a quarterly update of what's going on in your community. And that's www.8.honolulu.gov/complete streets. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions or concerns, I can bring it back to Councilman Okimoto. Mahalo.
Do you have any questions for Council Member Okimoto's representative, Member Oshiro?
I'll make the same request for you to take back to Councilmember Okimoto. As I mentioned to Kelly, Councilmember Oyer's office, you find out what she feels about the alternatives that we discussed tonight, which one she prefers, shipping it out, the trash out, or trying to open up, Kapaa Quarry. Those alternatives that he had mentioned tonight, and which one she might favor.
Okay.
Because council, I take it, they all oppose citing the landfill over the up. We haven't heard what their preferred option is.
Okay.
What's left, unless they come up with something totally different.
I'll take that back to Councilmember Okimoto. Thank you.
Board members to my left, any questions for Councilmember Okimoto's representative? Hearing none, thank you and aloha.
Mahalo.
Councilmember Agitaoba's representative, Aaron?
Aloha, Chair, board members, Aaron Michael Ho here from the Office of Councilmember Agitoba. The council members' report was distributed earlier and there are extra copies at the back table or at your convenience. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and just provide a quick update on 4 hotspots of homeless activity that our office has been recently working with. The first is Honowai Neighborhood Park. As we're all aware, the process for I'm going to use the word clear people from city land is complicated because the rules have to be obvious and everyone has to be given warnings and they have to understand those rules, notifications, and the efforts cannot be seen to target people experiencing homelessness. So at Honowai Park, well, the park has always had after hours issues and homelessness issues, especially with the growing encampment that is now in the unimproved easement behind the park, neighboring the cement drainage channel. So we've been working with HPD and DPR, and I'm happy to announce that as of a couple weeks ago, inside the park, there are now posted park closure hours. Prior to this, we were told by HPD that they couldn't enforce park closure hours because they weren't posted and how are people supposed to know? So at least now the hours are posted in the park. And then outside of the park in the unimproved area, no trespassing signage is currently in the works. And again, we were told that no trespassing signage would help facilitate that notification requirement for that kind of enforcement. And then I followed up with DPR earlier this week, and they're waiting on they're waiting to coordinate the date with facilities to go in and do their next SPO in that area. Next up is Moloalo Street, next to Ace Medical. And on either side of that same drainage channel, our office has been working with business owners in that area, both Ace Medical and the shopping center near it, and then the multiple centers across Farrington Highway. And again, city land, complicated. On the upside, I can report that HPD and DFM was able to clear that sidewalk next to Ace Medical and across by the HECO substation. I think it was 2 days ago, but they kind of just moved to the Farrington median. And so we reached out to the state DOT coordinator, and we're trying to advocate for them to work with DFM and coordinate efforts so that they don't just go back to Ace Medical, but we'll see what happens with that. We're actually meeting with the business owners again in that area tomorrow. So we're gonna try and see if we can crowdsource more solutions. The third one is the bike path behind Ted Makalena Golf Course. We had a lot of reports about like heavy motorcycle and moped usage behind the third hole comfort station next to the HFT maintenance facility. So that one is complicated for a different reason. That one is complicated because the bike path land is HECO in Hawaiian Electric land, and some of it belongs to the state. So we have to coordinate with HECO and with DoCare from DLNR, on a whole different strategy to kind of address that area. But on the golf course side, near that comfort station, I was told that the spigot and the other water plumbing, or I can't think of the word right now, the fixtures have been removed because of abuse and whatnot by the homeless people. And then they are in the process of installing secure doors over there to secure the comfort station against their use. And then the last one is the parcel next to Iglesia Ni Cristo on Farrington Highway. I don't know if you've seen it in the news lately, but there were 2 very large fires that happened on that parcel this month. And there's cooking fires on the daily. And so but that one, fortunately or unfortunately, we're back on city land. So we've been, again, trying to coordinate efforts with the various agencies. And so the good part is that no trespassing signage has been installed on that parcel. And we're trying to coordinate with the agencies to set a date to, of enforcement of that parcel. So that is coming. And other than that, that would be my report, and I will take back any questions.
Thank you, Board Member Jayden Chang.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Promise. With the bike path,
Yes.
as an example, there are several instances where there's multiple landowners involved with a homeless situation. There's no possible way that the state or the county can pass some kind of legislation, ordinance, whatever, that gives any agency in cases like this where we need to go in and clean up something really quickly, the ability to do that without having to jump on the phone and, hey, Hiko, can I go to your section of the bike path? And then gotta call the Navy, can I touch your side of the bike path? And literally that bike path, the line down the middle of the bike path, one side could be Hiko and the next side is the Navy. So in situations like that, it just seems ridiculous that you have to jump through 1,000 hoops to just say, get out.
With respect, board member, preaching to the choir, I completely feel you, I hear you. And just in my experience, it is how it is because people are how they are. Like, as a representative of my office, I can't do that. And I'm not saying that you should, but I'm just saying that I can't do that.
Thank you. Any further questions for Councilmember Tobo's representative? Board Member Ashiro?
I'll make it real quick. Same request to Councilmember Toba. Can you find out from him which of the alternate options that Director Babcock mentioned tonight, going back to the Kapaa Quarry, keeping open Waimanalo Gulch, and what that entails, and or shipping the trash out? Because if the council members from our area agree, that's 3 votes already, or at least 3. So, you have some, I guess, leverage there if you can come up with something that you all can agree on. Second thing, Board Member Andrade asked me, since she had to leave, you could provide an update on the Mahoy Street and Piapo roundabout.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I will take those back.
Okay, moving on. Thank you, Aaron. I have Governor Green's representative, Giovanni Ramos. Welcome.
Hi, Chair, board members, Giovanni for Governor Green. I first wanted to thank Gordon and David for coming out just to give that wonderful presentation on affordable housing, and I hope it was very helpful to all of you. And I know it's taken a while for me to answer Board Member Oshiro's question regarding affordable housing. So that was part of the reason why they came here today. So, and I just wanted to reiterate that if you folks had follow-up questions for HFDC, you can also pass that on to me as the governor's rep, because my purpose here is sort of like the catch-all for all state departments. And I know like it would be nice to have a representative from each department here, but I know everyone's schedules are busy, so that's why I'm sort of like the messenger for them. Anyway, I wanted to get back to some other pending inquiries. I know back in November, since Board Member DeGracia and Macha are here now, I know you guys inquired, or it was a comment on the growing homeless encampments near Punya and Waikele, like the on-ramps to the freeway, and how there was a growing encampment. So I contacted DOT because they have a homeless coordinator that actually helps just help enforce and just help clean the area. So they gave a no, I'm not sure if the problem has worsened or it has gotten better, but I did report it to them. So they also wanted everyone to know that if you see a highway problem, like for example, homeless on the freeway or near the freeway, you can call this number. It is 808-831-6714. And there's also a after hour number that is 808-485-6200. And there's also an email address. It is complaint highway Oahu. There's no spaces at hawaii.gov. So it's complaint highway Oahu at hawaii.gov. So all reports will be passed on to DOT's homeless coordinator, which I think they just hired a new one. So yeah,
Did, correct.
that is. So some announcements. You all have governor's newsletter. So in that newsletter, he highlighted a lot of legislative priorities, but the big one I wanted to announce is that Governor Green launched Operation Hire Hawaii. So it's an initiative designed to expedite the state's hiring process and address workforce shortages. So this program aims to fast track qualified candidates into state job opportunities, particularly those affected by recent federal layoffs, resignations, or funding reductions. So if you folks wanted to see a list of Operation Hire Hawaii positions that are open, you can go to the Department of Human Resources Development's website at dhrd.hawaii.gov/OHHI. So it's dhrd.hawaii.gov/OHHI. And the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations is actually having a Operation Hire Hawaii job fair tomorrow at 8:30 Punch Bowl Street from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I put a couple of flyers on the table, so if you folks wanted to grab, we will also have representatives from DHERD, Attorney Generals, the Tax Department, Office of the Auditor, our UI staff, and Department of Accounting General Services. And I forgot to mention that HHFDC's website is dbed.hawaii.gov/HHFDC. So dbed, DBEDT. So yeah, with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, and thank you for updating us in regards to the freeway. I did see some improvement, but I'm not sure. I don't pass there as much as I did a few months back, but hopefully they were able to resolve that. But go ahead, board member
Yes,
Morita.
at breakfast this morning with one of my friends, he kind of mentioned that, it's good that Governor Green is trying to hire the federal workers, and we have so many vacancies in the state. And I know that HGA, the union, is very happy that, the positions get filled, so they get more membership, funds going into them. But the question was that the governor should look at if the job is needed. I mean, we just don't put bodies in jobs just because we have an opening, but if the job is really needed, because this other friend said that he worked for the state from the federal government, and he worked for 8 hours, but his job was done in 2 hours. So for the rest of the 6 hours, they just, waited. So just a comment.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Board member DeGracia.
Thank you so much for your follow-up on the homeless issue, and we have seen some improvements with that. I will note that they do kind of move around from time to time, so as one area improves, another one tends to change. But that aside, I know one question that's probably going to be on the minds of a lot of people is that here in Hawaii, and especially Waipahū, certainly there's a lot of programs with the state and also with the county that are funded by grant funds. And so I think most people are probably not aware of how many things actually draw down from special funds that are fed by cooperative agreements with the federal government. Is there any way that you could check with the governor to see, whether he's going to try and preserve as many of the funding for these as possible, or if we're just going to basically count many of these grants and cooperative agreements as essentially lost now with the new Trump administration?
Thank you. You don't have to answer that right now, so thank you.
Thank you. I'll get that.
Any other questions for Governor's representative? Thank you, Giovanni. See you again. Board members and members of the audience, we are pressed for time. So just for the record, I wanted to note Senator Kidani and Senator Aquino did submit their reports available for your review. I do have in attendance Representative Corey Chun, so I'll call on him. Representative Lamasao also submitted report. I do not have any reports from Representative La Chica or Perrick. Do I have someone here from the Congresswoman Joe Tokura's office? Okay, good, thank you. Do I have anyone from Representative Tokura's office? I don't see the representative for Congressman Case's office. So Representative Chun, please.
All right, good evening. I just wanted to congratulate you, Chair. And thank you for stepping up. As I know, being chair is a tough job and requires a lot more time, but I know you can do it because you are a very capable vice chair. Good evening, everyone. I'll try to be very brief. Oh, just want to say hi to Tom. Long time no see, since I just saw him on Tuesday. I just wanted to start. I passed out my report, and I also attached some information provided by the Executive Office on Aging. Just something, as I'm one of the co-conveners of the Legislative Kapuna Caucus, just some information, just because we're trying to get the word out there that people who qualify for Medicaid and Medicare actually can take advantage of the benefits, because there's a lot of people who qualify for benefits and never take advantage of it. So it's one of the pushes of the state. I want to address the kind of issues on the federal level. I just want everyone to know that the state is working to address whatever cuts are coming down. We do know that there's likely going to be cuts in Medicaid, which is a really big, would put a really big puka in our budget. And also a lot of other things like transportation and education. And so we're trying to figure out exactly what the impact is going to be. And the Council on Revenues is going to meet in a few weeks, and they're going to take a look at all of these things and see where our financial picture looks like for the upcoming year. So, we're taking a cautious approach. I think in the House, we're actually just kind of preparing to see what programs we can keep. And at this point, not looking to expand any new programs just because we don't know what's going to happen with our federal funding. Some highlights from last year's budget. So, the governor did release some CIP funding from last year's biennium budget. So $2.1 million was released for the Waipahū Point Access Road, a multimodal project. I know it's something that the board has been working on for the last decade. And also $1 million was just released this week to provide funding for fencing for Waipahū High School. So all of you have been to Waipahū High School. There's a certain area in the back of Waipahū High School where there's no fencing right now, and you can just walk right down to King Hall Road. So it's a security issue that we've been trying to address since I got in, and so grateful that the funding was approved so we can kind of beef up the security for the school. Let's see. I will address that question from Board Member Chang, since I think I'm the only elected representative here. No, it's okay. So I will say I kind of agree with what David from HHFDC said about when it's private land and private financing. And then the other thing too is with the state, the projects like those really are a function of the city and permitting. So all of those regulations can be found in the land use ordinance in Chapter 21 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu, and that sets the density, the height limits of certain parcels. And as long as you meet those things and the building code, you know, you can pretty much build whatever you want to build as long as you're following the land use ordinance. And there's not a lot we can do with that unless, you know, there's been attempts to try to prevent foreign buyers and things like that. And, you know, we're still trying to see what we can do on the state level to address that. But hopefully that answers your question. And sorry, I'm taking long. I'll just stop right there and answer questions, but I'm also Representative Lamasao. I can take back questions for her as well. So
Thank you. I did note that we did receive Representative Lamasao's report, but Representative Chun, thank you. You belong to the Kupuna caucus, as you mentioned. So hopefully can do something, partner up with HHFTC so they can get more information on Pukuahale and maybe, you know, help out with the leasing. Yeah. So do I have any questions from the board members? None? Thank you. Thank you,
Right.
Representative.
Thank you.
Okay. Representative LaChica's office. Yeah. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Siobhan Clark, and tonight I'm here on behalf of Representative LaChica. She apologizes for not being able to attend. She had a prior engagement. To give you a little bit of the information we have here, she would like to share with you her February newsletter. It's also available in digital form on her website, and the website is reptricialachica.com. A few quick updates she would like to share is that a reminder that legislative session is almost halfway through. This session, over 1,500 bills were heard, and at this point, more than half will die or will not make it to crossover. With that being said, she wants to thank you for your continued support and ask that you would continue support by submitting your testimony, especially on issues that are important to her. At this time, she serves as the vice chair of education of the Education Committee, and the committee heard and passed close to 70 House bills. They prioritize the expansion of early education and preschool, investing in student support services, such as addressing food insecurity through the universal school meals, and treating student transportation as a critical infrastructure, both of which are very important to Representative LaChica. In the newsletter, you would notice on the first page, you find the results of her affordability and cost of living survey. Also on the other page, you'll find Rep. LaChica's bill package. Several bills are still moving, and again, she thanks you for your continued support and asks if you would continue to support these bills through your legislation, through submitting testimony. Finally, she would like to respond to a question the board raised last month regarding the traffic and Koa Ridge. Recently, she had a site visit, and this is the information. She would like you to know that Castle and Cook, who are the developers of Koa Ridge, did a traffic study in July 2014. The city did ask them to consider opening an off-ramp from H2 into the commercial area. However, the improvement was not approved by the Hawaii Department of Transportation and was found not to be feasible. So this is no longer an option. An event she would like to invite you all to regarding a matter that's very important to her. So on March 15th, the Community Forum on Universal Free School Meals at McKinley High School will begin at 9:30 a.m. She is one of the speakers along with First Lady Green. Again, this is an important issue to her regarding school meals. You can register for this event and get more information about it at Eventbrite, along with the Hawaii Appleseed website. And this is the end of the report. Would there be any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Representative La Chica's representative? Any questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along, Board of Water Supply, Nikki Raudel. Thank you for your patience, especially as you're almost at the end of our agenda. Go ahead.
Hi, aloha, board guests. Congrats on your election.
Thank you.
Just a couple quick announcements. There are no water main breaks in the Waipahū area in January. And then we just wanted to touch on a couple things. I've given you all a packet for a home water audit. We have a water wisdom program that offers tools to customers to help conserve water and detect leaks. Through this program, you can learn how to ensure fixtures and appliances meet low flush standards and identify leaks at wastewater. The water audit bags have leak detection dye tablets that go in the back of your toilet, a bag that you can fill up to test the flow of your water in your showers and any of your sinks. And then there's a booklet that tells you how to do all of this and has lots of tips for conservation. You can also pick up the free water audit bags at our public service building on Veritania Street. And for more information and to watch a video on conducting the audit, you can go to boardofwatersupply.com/waterwisdom. We also want to bring attention to our water waste hotline. So if you see any water that's just being wasted, so like your neighbors are excessively watering their grass, washing their cars multiple times a day, broken pipes, sprinklers, anything like that, let us know so we can follow up to stop the loss. So you can report by going to our website, boardofwatersupply.com/waterwaste. Email us at contactus@hbws.org or call 748-5041. And you can also use the Honolulu 311 website or app to report any issues with Board of Water or any other city departments. So I've used it myself. It's really great. So with that, if there are any questions or concerns, happy to take those back.
Thank you. Any questions for Board of Water Supply? Hearing none, thank you, Nikki. Next, we have OMPO, our member board. Member DeGracia.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report at this time.
Awesome. Thank you. Any reports from other board members with their attendance at other meetings? Hearing none. Announcements. Our next regular meeting for the Waipahū Neighborhood Board is scheduled for Thursday, March 27th here at the Philcom, 7 p.m. Board members, I would like to remind you there are some correspondence on the Google Drive in regards to liquor commission hearings for events happening in our district. That's it. Call the meeting to adjourn. Thank you.